Welcome back to the Off the Rip podcast. This is Marcus.
I'm Jordan.
It's been a little bit, man. It feels good to be back. We're going to try to do some more consistent uploads here. So we got a lot of work to do in the next week, but we're going to try to pump out some episodes. So anyway, let's talk about Ovi. Yeah, I think that, I don't want to start out talking about the Flyers. That's depressing right now.
Yeah, it's up and down. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. Ovechkin with seven goals in 11 games. He gets one tonight. The Caps lose. They've been doing really well, actually. They're one of those teams that I'm just like...
A lot better than we expected.
Yeah. And I guess Ovi playing well, it's not the only reason, but that's got to help, right? And they did make some good additions in the offseason. You know, shored up the goaltending, and they've looked like a good team. They handled the Rangers the other night, but they lose to Carolina, who I think is... Everyone wants to talk about what they lost, right? I feel like you always talk about what did this team gain, and anyone wanted to do with Carolina was just like, oh, they lost all these players, like they're not going to be as good this season.
That's what.
You could have fooled me.
Yeah, I could have thought that. Yeah,
but anyway, Ovechkin on a really good streak here. I don't think he keeps this up at this clip. I mean, that's pretty good, but he's on pace to break the record this year, man.
Yeah, he's on pace now, but I don't think it'll happen this season. You know, slow start last year. I think the first couple games it looked like it might be the same, but no, like I said, 14 points. He's getting there, but I think he's got another season to go yet.
It's good to see him getting it out of the way a little earlier, you know.
Yeah.
That was last year. It was almost, man, did he fall off that big of a cliff? That's what I thought at least. And I was like, man, it's tough to see, you know. And you're like, you can't trip at the finish line, and it's like that's why it's so good to see he's off to a good start this year. Ovi goal counter right here. But yeah, man, with 7 now, we needed 42, so now he's 35 away from breaking the record. Somewhere around there, yeah, 35. I mean, when you say 35, it sounds more doable. We're only 11, 12 games into the season, so looks a little more doable. But he's off to a good start, so we'll keep you posted. We're all kind of on this roller coaster ride. I just want to see history, you know, and that'd be pretty awesome. I mean, you know, a division foe for the Flyers, but I'm not going to say I wouldn't be excited if, you know, the Caps are in the mix and Ovi's a big part of that. So, good job, Ovechkin. Keep that shit up. So, anyway, let's real quick touch on the Flyers. I believe 4-7-1 this year. Just not really finding that rhythm. And the one thing that was looking good, the one thing that was consistent was Sam Ersson in the net.
Yeah.
Potentially injured here after yesterday's 3-0 loss at home. But he stopped all of his shots against. So what do you think they do, you know, going forward here?
I mean, they've been carrying 3 goalies. I mean, it doesn't make me feel good. That's for sure. What we got. I know neither of them. We've seen big portions of either of them, but I mean, with the way the team is up and down, not a good feeling.
No.
Going forward, depending. I mean, we got to see what the issue is here.
Right. We're speculating.
Yeah.
You know, everyone is, and you know, of course, right before we get on today, I'm just looking. I'm like, is there any new information? Do we know anything? And we don't. We know about as much as we knew last night. So, like I said, we don't want to report false news here. We'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. But it's not going to get any easier. Going on a little road trip this next week. Carolina. I don't think anyone wants to play Carolina right now. Tampa, they can score.
Yeah.
I think their scoring has not been the issue, and they have a decent record this year. I think they lose to, who do they play tonight? The Jets. Yeah. So I mean, the Jets are another. Yeah, exactly. So
we'll get to that.
Tampa's doing well. You know, that was another thing. You know, Stamkos leaves in the off season, and you're wondering, okay, you know, what does Tampa look like? They've looked just fine.
Yeah,
they really have.
Kucherov carrying them again.
So they look just fine. And then I think it's Saturday. The Flyers get to play the Panthers, who look like they won the Cup last year.
Yeah.
I don't see any hangover. Do you?
No. They're, like I said, they've been in there for quite a while. They are always a good team, but yeah, no, they keeping that stride going. Fresh off the championship victory. I mean, they lost a couple pieces, but
yeah, you're always going to after you win.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's going to want to get paid.
Yep. But now it looks like they haven't skipped a beat.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's their week ahead. So, I think the way this team is playing right now, and I mean, we have to wait and see with the goaltender. I hope Ersson is all right because he's been keeping them in games. They haven't really been scoring. They went 2 of the last 3 through the Flyers, and they only scored 2 goals in each of the games because the goaltending was pitched a shutout and you know only gave up 1. So, the offense hasn't been clicking at all. Tough opponents ahead. You really hope Erson's back in there because that's the only thing that's been giving them a chance. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll have another game like they did against Minnesota, you know, where they put up 7. I doubt it.
Nah. They don't come around too often.
No. Not for this team.
No.
Not this year.
Not for us.
No. And even then, they didn't make it easy. They win 7-5. It was still, you know, a back and forth game for a majority of it there.
Yeah, gave them their 1 regulation loss though.
Yeah. Minnesota.
They're good.
Disappointing year last year, you know. Disappointing year last year, and I think that was another team people had kind of just written off as, you know, they probably won't make the playoffs. You know, they're whatever. They seem to be putting it together as well, and yeah, good on the Flyers giving them their only regulation loss there, but they seem to be chugging along as well.
Yeah, and you hate to see the inconsistency because you know the team can play well, but when you get hot and cold, it's even just the 20 minutes. Their second periods have been awful.
Yeah. Real bad goal differential in the second.
Yeah. I mean, that can lose you a game really quick.
Oh yeah. So anyway, we'll see what goes on with Sam. Really, you know, fingers crossed on that one. Another big name in the league, Mathew Barzal for the Islanders, out 4 to 6 weeks. I didn't get the details on the injury, but that's a big loss for a team that's just above the Flyers in the Metro in 7th with 10 points. The Flyers, of course, in 8th with 9. But I really thought the Islanders would be off to a better start than they are this year. I mean, they look like a team that, especially, you know, losing Barzal 4 to 6 weeks, they could see themselves on the outside looking in this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of those teams. They can be in the mix for the top, but we didn't see that last year. But yeah, no, that's a big loss for them, for sure.
Yeah, no, and injuries are part of the game. You know, at a certain point, it can't be an excuse. I mean, you can't say that's an excuse for a team like the Flyers. What's been going on with them? I mean, they need some guys to step up. You know, but injuries are just part of the game. You need to navigate it, but hopefully the scoring comes around.
Yeah, I've definitely been liking Andre a lot. He's looking like he might squeeze in there, secure a spot.
Yeah, no, he's one of the bright spots. Not a lot of good going on right now, but hey, we'll see. So we talked about a couple. What are just your general thoughts on the league? Where teams are at? You know, maybe do you have a different opinion about the Flyers making the playoffs? Are you still holding on to that? What teams do you think are off to good starts? What teams do you think are off to surprising starts that maybe we haven't talked about?
Surprising? The Jets. I mean, 1 loss.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, they're always good, but that's a hell of a start,
No, it's a great start for them, and I think even the game they lost, I forgot who it was against, but even in that game they come back. I think they get it to 1 when they were down by 4 goals, or I think it was against Toronto. That's the team I want to talk about, honestly. I think Toronto is looking pretty decent. I mean, they're in most of their games. Every team's going to have ups and downs, but they're a team that I've been surprised about. I could see them pushing a team like the Bruins out in the top 3 in the Atlantic. Bruins seem to be finding their way a little bit here. 2 straight victories. Obviously, one against Flyers and one tonight, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough in the Atlantic because it looks like the Lightning are still going to be there. The Panthers should run away with that division. But we'll see. Toronto's my team, so that's surprising. I don't want to say surprising, but I think they're going to be a tough out. I think they're going to be a tough out.
They got everybody functioning right now.
Yeah, and Matthews doesn't even have an insane amount of goals yet. If that gets if he's going at a clip even close to last year at some point during the year, they're going to be a problem. They're definitely going to be a tough out. Minnesota, I know we talked about them, but that's 1 regulation loss. That's really surprising to me.
2 overtime losses.
Yeah, I don't want to say I counted them out, but I was just like, I don't think they're going to be great this year, and they've surprised me a little bit.
Yeah. Nashville pulled it together a little bit after that rough stretch there.
I think they lose their first 5.
Yeah.
Lose their first 5 and
4-6-1 something.
Yeah, that's great. You look at the last 10, right? I mean, that's how I can judge it. They're trending in the right direction. Yeah. Stamkos getting on the board a little more.
It's hard to say early in the season. It can. You saw the Bruins. They struggled there for a few games. Like you said, they brought it back. Get the last 2, but
that team's got a lot of pride.
Yeah.
They're probably past that window. Let's be honest. The post Bergeron version of the Bruins, but that team's got a lot of pride and good coach. They'll figure it out. They'll be in the mix. I do believe in that. Will they get there ultimately? I don't know. This could be the year they miss out.
Like I said, it's early, but with the way the other teams are looking, it's not likely.
It's not likely. Some teams really seem to be putting it together.
Carolina's at 1. You want to see them put it together.
Yeah. I secretly kind of root for them sometimes. You know what I mean? Like if we're not in it or whatever the situation is, I'd like to see them get one. They're another team, in my opinion, is kind of like the Jets. You know what I mean? Where they've been pretty decent. Under Brindamore, they've been very decent with him at the helm. Every year they do really well in the regular season. Pretty much consistently in that top 3. So, can they put it together once they get to the playoffs? It's a team that's going to win a ton of games during the regular season, accrue a ton of points. We'll see how high they get. I think that's still the Rangers' division to lose, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think they're going to be a tough out if they can continue to push that through the playoffs. It could be good. But I am a little surprised. They're doing as well. I thought they would drop off a little bit.
Yeah.
Now they're up there. I think they're going to be a dangerous team. Washington. We started the episode talking about them, but you can't sit here not surprised about that. Anyone that saw this start coming, I don't believe you.
No, like you said, that's like one of the teams last year. Somehow managed to make the playoffs. And they had a couple additions, and they could mess around and go deep.
Yeah, it's a fun year. Either way, we're going to be sending you episodes a little more frequently here coming up. Jordan went back to Tennessee, had to take care of some business, so we were looking to do it remotely. We want to give you a bunch of different looks, on site like we did in episode 2. This is the second episode we're doing down in the basement, but we were going to try to do a remote one, over the computer and we couldn't get it figured out logistically, but it's not to say that it won't be here eventually. But thank you for joining us. This has been a fun episode, man. So I feel like we got some good thoughts out, and
Yeah,
you know, we'll see you guys next time on Off the Rip.